All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm gonna be showing you how to throw elbows, particularly two types of elbows, or should I say hellbows, because when you hit by them, you just completely feel like you just got sent to hell by someone. Elbows are gonna be a short-range weapon, particularly when you're about to maybe clinch someone or when you're this close to someone, about this range. Very close combat, close quarter weapon. So let me demonstrate how close it is first, because with elbows, it is kind of hard to gauge the distance sometimes, since we're all so used to kicking and punching range. And so this is gonna be like your punch range, right? A good kind of example or a good gauge into your distance would be punching range, that is to be here, stick your non-dominant hand out, your jab or your long guard, and stick it out here. And if you can touch them from here without overextending or, you know, popping your head for extra extension, then you can most likely hit them with just about anything over here with your mid-range weapons, except for the elbows. Like I said, the elbows are very close quarters, and you need to quote unquote feint, or you need to be really close, or you need to make your opponent freeze in order to most likely hit the elbow. So I'm gonna start off like always with a lot of my videos is I'm gonna show you the motion first so that you get it. In today's videos, there are a lot of different variations of elbows. You're starting to notice the theme with all these attacks. We just don't kick one way, or we just don't punch one way. There's all these ways and angles and different iterations on how you can do these punches, kicks, but what I'm mostly going to show you are pretty much the basic rules of how to throw an elbow, going horizontal, and I'm gonna show you a vertical one and what both their purposes are. So I'm guessing for most people, when they see people throw an elbow, it's either one of those two. Most likely, it's going to be the first one, this one, going vertical. It's very devastating, and it has a lot of purposes to it. One of the purposes to it is going to be just a distraction or trying to break through someone's guard, okay? So if you're fighting someone, let me explain what that means. If you're fighting someone, and most likely they're gonna have a guard like this, right? They're gonna be protecting their face. As I showed in my other videos, they're gonna be doing this. They're nice and protected. So with that, even though the horizontal elbow is gonna go through here, and it's hard for it to go through the guard, right? It's not the one in the middle, it's going this way, okay? But the good part about the horizontal elbow that you're gonna throw is that it does distract the person, because, well, even if you're blocking, it still hurts. It still hurts to block that elbow, and it's quite a distraction. So if I were to throw this elbow and someone was guarding it and it still hits them, it'll ricochet on their guard, and it'll still have an impact on either if they're blocking or not. Either way, it's still gonna have an impact, because they're gonna feel the impact of that elbow. That small movement of the elbow is so powerful, and your elbow is one of the hardest parts of your body. I would argue the hardest part of your body, including your forehead and your knees, that when you do an elbow with the right technique, the impact is so hard. So let me explain something. When you do the elbows, it doesn't just mean this part of the elbow. I consider the elbow as from here, from like the middle of the forearm, from the end of your elbows right here. You can just about hit anyone from here to here, and I consider that as an attack. of like an elbow strike. So now I'll get down to like the nitty gritty, okay? So when you're throwing an elbow, we wanna put our hands up like always. I'm gonna always be telling you guys that. We wanna put our hands up like this. And notice, guys, from my last video, my guard is a little bit higher. This is what we call a high guard, is that my hands are gonna be up, higher than usual. See, this is more of like a traditional boxing. This is more like a Muay Thai, but a lot of Muay Thai fighters and kickboxers, they will have their hands up to about right here. Why? One of the reasons is because of the elbow. The most important thing about this whole technique about it is protecting yourself, because you will be vulnerable. You're such in a close range that you are susceptible to an elbow when throwing an elbow. So say if I have it here and I throw an elbow, well, look, I'm open here, right? If I happen to miss, if they happen to kind of step back a little bit, they can counter with their own elbow. So I have to be very, very mindful about that. So the reason why you have a high guard is just that, is to protect your face right here. So notice when I throw the elbow, I'm still a little bit protected. Like, I'm pretty protected at this point, right? There is some space over here, but we'll get to that when we get more advanced, because I feel that is information for like high level fighters. But as a general rule of thumb, you always want to be protected. That is the main reason why you have like a high guard. This is going to be a little lower. This is a high guard, is to simply just protect you from a counter elbow. And when you're throwing the elbow, you're protected, okay? So I want to get that out of the way, because I'm always going to tell you guys to protect yourself. No bad habits from here, because it's always hard to undo bad habits. Now, with the horizontal elbow, we'll strike with that first. Like with anything, guys, you're going to be using your body weight, but I feel, in my own opinion, that the elbow is more so subtle, because you're so up close and you don't need a lot of exaggeration to throw it. So what I mean by that is that if you throw a punch here, right? Look at how much movement I'm doing. I can exaggerate this movement, and I'm far out more extended than I would throwing the elbow attack. So if I throw here, it's more exaggerated and there's much more of a movement. When I throw an elbow, look, I can just get right back to my stance. That's what I mean by like a subtle movement. Look, this angle, and then right back to my stance. So it's not, I would say it's not as much risk as far as when it comes to over exaggeration, but it is still risky, because you're still in close quarters with someone. If you're trying to throw an elbow with someone and your opponent knows what they're doing, they're most likely gonna look for a counter or throw an elbow themselves. That's why you have to be protected and keep a high guard is so important. Now, I'll talk about more about the blocking aspects and, you know, high guard versus low guard, because high guard, as you can see, my body is more uncovered and is more likely to get hit, right? Because it's not protected here, and the other fighter knows that. But for this instance, we'll just focus on why we need to have a high guard with the elbow. See, again, here, look, right back, right back. Now, I was talking about the movements. I'll show you how to actually throw the elbow now, okay? Like anything else, the same goes. The same goes for how, if I'm gonna throw an elbow with my dominant hand, my rear, right here, is that my body weight is still shifted over to here, over to my rear dominant, right? Boom. And again, as you can see here, I'm stepping on a bug and throwing the elbow. As you notice, all my body weight, all the power is transferring from my lower to upper body weight. That still goes the same, but it's much more subtle and it's less noticeable when I throw an elbow because of how close what I mentioned earlier is how close we are to the opponent and how close that I'm throwing it to where it's not an over-exaggerated move, just like a punch, right? It's kind of like a punch is more exaggerated, where elbow is nice and quick. You get back to your stance, you put your hands up, and you're well protected. So, in my personal opinion, you don't have to, when you're stepping on a bug and transferring your weight up to your elbow, you don't have to make it over-exaggerated to get all that power over here. Like I said, this should be a nice quick attack to either startle your opponent or just to get a reaction out of it. So he gets a little bit scared. He's like, oh my goodness, that was like a hard elbow, even though he had his guard up. That's really what you want him to be thinking, right? Yeah, it'd be nice to land. Just like any other attack, it'd be just nice to land. But in this case, since it's going vertical and you know he's protected, just think about not landing it as far as like landing it clean on the actual guy's open face, but landing it to his guard to where he makes a reaction. And it's still impactful because it's such a powerful attack. So I'll show you what I mean. Just like with anything else, just like with a punch, again, we're gonna go to the bag now. When I throw an elbow, guys, hands up, get in your fight stance, right? Your dominant is your rear, usually. And I'm gonna go with a higher guard, right? A higher guard here. And again, I want to reiterate that the high guard for it is that so you're protected. So when you throw the elbow, you could get back. You see this? Boom, I'm still pretty protected, okay? When I have the high guard, boom, still pretty protected, all right? So now I'll throw it. I'm gonna show you the subtleness when I throw the elbow, okay? Just like I said, look at the difference between a punch. Look at all that movement I have to do, right? I'll do it in slow-mo. And the range that it needs to get to my opponent. Whereas the elbow, I'm this close, right? I'm this close to my opponent, and look. Right back, as you notice, I'm protecting my face. I have my guard up here. Look how impactful that is. And again, guys, I'm probably throwing like 40%, honestly, like less than 50%. I'm making a subtle movement, not so over-exaggerated, but the concepts are still the same. My body weight is what's having that force to be able to drive my elbow into the bag with all that power, right? The concepts are the same. Same with the kick, same with throwing a punch, same with throwing an elbow. So again, here, look, I'll do it in slow-mo. I'm here, high guard. Right back. Now with this, guys, I want to pinpoint one thing, is that notice how I have my hands open. Even if you're wearing boxing gloves, always open your hands, okay? Always open your hands. The reason being is that, number one, if you have your fist closed, it's gonna limit your range of motion and your movement. It's gonna limit how much power you can get out of the elbow if you have a closed fist. Reason being is that it has more weight, and look, your fist is actually blocking your movement, okay? It has more weight and it's blocking your movement. If you have a open fist, even with gloves on, open your fist. See that? You have more range of motion and your arms are a lot lighter. Whereas your fist, look, you're a lot more stiff. Very, very important detail, guys. If you take anything out of this video, I think it would be that, because I've taught you how to punch and now I'm teaching you how to elbow, but like I said, there's common themes to this, right? If you're throwing an elbow, it's the same movement as throwing a punch. But what's not the same is that keeping, your fist pretty much open palm the whole way, right? The whole way. With a punch, you're gonna close your fist at the end of those punches. With this, you're gonna keep it open the whole time. So it's nice and light, and you don't wanna be stiff throwing the elbow, okay? Very, very important detail, guys. If you need to play that back, because that is the most important. The most important part of the elbow. Same movements here, nice and subtle, doesn't have to be over exaggerated, and open your palms when you throw it. Look, boom, here, boom. Show you guys on the bag one more time. I'm this close, right back, right back, right back, right back. Look how much of an impact that has, guys. All right, nice and subtle, and like with anything else, it's all repetition. Don't get frustrated, just keep doing the reps. Open palm, nice and subtle movement, not too over exaggerated. You can hit them with either going from here to the top of your forearm. It's not particularly just the elbow. It's from the end of your elbow here to the top or middle of your forearm here, okay? Either way, it will have an impact. Now, going fairly quickly, because this is going to be a similar elbow, is going to be kind of the vertical, vertical elbow going upwards. Now, the reason for this elbow is that you want, so say if I have a long guard here, you're kind of breaking through the guard, because look how much space is open here, right? It's the same movement, it's the same concept that I just went over, so I'm not gonna go over it again because I've gone through it a lot of times prior, so you can just rewind. But over here, I want to get to the nitty gritty. You're going down, you're splitting, is what it's called, splitting their guard. The reason why we call it splitting is, look, if I'm here, you're going down the middle. The elbow is going down the middle. And again, guys, yes, you want to hit them. You want to hit the bag or whoever you're fighting at the end of this elbow, because that's where like the hard parts are. But either way, you could hit them through here and it'll still be devastating. The whole point is to go through the guard. Now look, same movement with your body, transferring your body. But look at the angle it's going. It's straight on, like it's straight, right? Whereas to this elbow, it serves a different purpose. This time, you're trying to split the guard. You could even do this with your forearm. You could hit him here. See? Same concepts, same body, same principles as the way you're moving your body. Stepping on a bug, moving your body, transferring the weight over to your elbows. There. But different purposes. Both close combat, but different purposes, right? So just, you have tools in your toolbox. Now, I'm gonna show you on the bag here. So same concept, right? I'm gonna move here and I either wanna hit him with the top of my forearm or this forearm, the bottom of my elbow here, okay? Now look. Now, it's not gonna be as impactful as this elbow, the horizontal elbow, because look how much of the arm that you're hitting him with. This one is nice and sleek, right? You're trying to get through. So it's gonna feel a little bit different. It's not gonna feel the same. So when doing it, serves different purpose, like I said. So with here, I'm gonna do it again, look. I'm trying to visualize splitting someone down the middle through their guard. Again, high guard. A little bit slower this time. Look, same movement, nice and subtle. Back, hands back to your face as always. Again, I'll go 40-50%. Don't forget to breathe, guys. That right there, guys, are the two types of elbows. Remember, your body mechanics are the same. They're a couple keynotes. Your body and how you throw that attack is gonna be the same as throwing punches. Just a little bit more subtle and less exaggerated because it's such close quarters that you don't need a lot of exaggeration. like I said, your elbows, your forearms, they're the hardest parts of your bodies. You don't need a lot of impact on it. Actually, it'll be counterintuitive to throw it harder because you'll get more off balance. You want to make it subtle since you are in the danger zone as well, being that up close to your opponent where he can throw the same attacks. Technically, they're gonna be in the same range as you, even though you're the one planning to throw the elbow. So again, you're more susceptible to getting hit with an elbow, even though you have the intention of hitting the elbow first, okay? Because anything can happen. But those are the two elbows that I think are good basic starters, so that you have something in your toolbox just in case you get to this close of a range with your opponent and now you can't just throw punches, right? You can't just throw punches here. Now you have to resort to close quarter ranges. Hands up. Thank you for watching, guys.